right. Let's open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. Come on, girls. Come on. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yashra'al, we thank you, Yah, once again for bringing us into your holy day. For this is a holy day, Pesach, your Passover, Yah. And we reflect on this day, Yahweh. We meet by convocation according to your commandment, Yah, to acknowledge the tremendous sacrifice that our brother made for us, Yah. For on this day, they took him and they tortured him, Yah, for us, a sinless man, by our doing, by our choice, Yah. We weren't the physical ones who did it, but it was by our request that he was taken and put to death, Yah. So we acknowledge that, Yah, that his death is not in vain, Yah, that he brought us his grace, he brought us his time for us to look at our actions and discover who we were and the errors that we made and correct those things, Yah. So we're thankful, Yahweh, for your mercy, Yah, in sending us not only in his death, but in his life, an example for us to show us how to be a sacrifice. For you are a living Elohim, so you require a living sacrifice, Yah. But this servant, your son, he gave his life. He was a living sacrifice, and he also kept your obedience all the way unto his death, Yah. And once again, his death is not in vain. We acknowledge that we are covered under his blood and his grace and his mercy through you, Yah. And we're thankful, Yah. So we gather today, Yah. We ask that you allow your angel that sits at the door and knock to come in and sup with us and us with him, so we can have a Kodesh maker, a holy convocation according to your commandments. Yah, we ask these things not only for us, but all your children across the four corners of the earth, Yahweh, that gather to keep your commandment, Yahweh, to acknowledge your feast days, to observe your feast days. For we know that we are not able to keep these feast days, for we are not in our temple, we are not in our land, and we do not have the sufficient things to do according to the law, but we observe it like you commanded us, that we shall observe these things forever. Yeah, so these things we thank and pray through your holy, humble anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, in which all praise, majesty, might, and dominion resides here and forevermore through you, your majesty. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we thank you, pray. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all come in here, sit down, get a Bible, and come and sit down. She can get a Bible, come in here and sit down.
It's got that one oblong piece. A little bit. Not really, though.
Viewers?
Huh?
Got two viewers.
Oh, yeah?
No, that's what you
Yeah, I know.
I don't know who they is. You probably can see.
No, I can't.
Oh, you can't?
It's completely
So it sounds good.
outside of my viewing range.
right. Shalom. My name is Yashra'al. My brother Wesley Yashra'al. Shalom.
Shalom.
And today at nightfall began the 14th day of Abib, which means we are in our Pesach, our Passover. Now the 14th day is the preparation day. It's a day that you prepare for the feast of unleavened bread. When we prepare to eat the Passover, the festival of the Passover. Get you that black Bible over there. You got one? So we cannot, I know, brother, you brought up this question as well. People will try to talk about how we cannot keep the Passover because we're in captivity. And it causes a lot of controversy. And the answer is that's absolutely correct. You cannot keep the Passover because we can only keep the Passover according to the commandments. But we are also commanded to memorialize these days, these Moadim, these set apart days, which means we are to remember what happened on these days with our forefathers, the significance of these days. And now, since we are in a greater understanding, how these things are being fulfilled in Yeshua, HaMashiach, the Son of the Most High, this word. So when we memorialize these days, we get into the understanding of what they represent, and we mark those days. When we observe, we're observing. When you observe Memorial Day or whatever, man, you observing the day. Hey, today's Memorial Day. It's not just at 3 o'clock. It's Memorial. It's Memorial Day all day. You memorialize that. So we are to memorialize these days. So we keep these days as far as observing them. Now, we have a lot of traditions that go with it. Some people will serve lamb or do this or do that. But the actual feast day and the actual appearance, because 3 times a year is all males appear, is on the 15th, which is tomorrow night. That's when you physically take the Passover, which we are also doing memorial because we're not physically killing the lamb and doing all that. Yeshua was that sacrifice. He was that lamb. So we're going to first open up. We're going to go to Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to get straight into the commandment. And we're going to understand what the law is pertaining to Passover. I know we've gone over this quite a bit. And then we're gonna keep it short today. Then we're gonna also go into what happened on this day.
What page is
Leviticus chapter 23. Kylie, help her. So there's a lot of tradition around Passover. You have a lot of people that on the 14th, they take the Passover. They literally are doing the blood and the crackers, and they're doing all that as memorializing it, like they're actually taking the Passover on the 14th. That's not according to the commandment. Even when you're memorializing, you're not following the order of how things were done. These things are done on the 15th. Your appearance is done on the 15th. Your Passover is on the 15th, is when you physically take the Passover and eat the Passover. The Passover lamb was killed on the 14th. 23. Wayakra, Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, and say unto them, concerning the feast of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Okay, so right off rip, Yahweh saying to the children of Yashra'al, this is who this order is to, say unto them concerning the feasts. So now here it says the word feasts. So you think that all of these are feasts, that you're going to feast. But when you look at the Hebrew word that was there, it's H4150, which is moade. Moade, which means an appointed time. So what it should say is these are the appointed times of Yahweh. These are the times that he's appointing his children to observe. So that again, that Strong's number is H4150. Moade or Moad would be a singular, and Moadim would be the plural. And that is an appointment. That is a fixed time or season, specifically a festival, conventionally a year, by implication an assembly as convened for a definite purpose. The congregation, by extension, the place of meeting, also a signal, appointed, sign, time, assembly, congregation, solemn feast, season, solemnity. So not only are these appointed times that he's appointing, but these are times that we gather. These are also signs. This is a sign unto the Father. Who is paying attention to him? Who is honoring his days? Who is doing things according to how he says do it versus who's just doing things the way they want to do it? Go ahead.
6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Shabbat of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
Okay, so it's saying 6 days work shall be done, but the seventh day is the Shabbat. Why are they mentioning the Sabbath on these so-called feasts of Yahweh, or Moade, which is appointed times? Anybody? Kids, why are they mentioning the Sabbath with these specific times?
Because when
Kylie, help her out. Why are they mentioning the Sabbath with these times?
I think she doesn't know. So they can change different people's religions.
Say to what?
So they can change different people's religions.
No, baby. They're mentioning the Sabbath because, again, it says these are the feasts of Yah, but the Hebrew word was moade. These are the appointed times. So the Sabbath is an appointed time that we are to gather and separate this and observe this. So the first appointed time that we are given is the Shabbat, the Sabbath day. Yes, baby.
So you mean like splitting the days up?
That's right. He's splitting the days up and saying, these days, I'm splitting them away from every other day. These are the days that are important to me. Just like your birthday is important to you. So we love you, so you want your birthday to be important to us. So you say, hey, it's my birthday. You should be nice to me. You should get me a gift or something. Well, Yah say, these are my important days. So if you love me, then these days are important to you too. You observe that. But see, this is why we not Yah. That's why we can't take our birthday and turn it into like it's a holy day. Because now that's making a God out of us. But as loved ones, we want people to acknowledge those days and say, hey, that's your birthday? Well, happy birthday. And acknowledge that. Praise Yah that Yah gave you another year. But these days are important to Yah. So those that belong to Yah, those days are important to you, which means you set these days apart. You don't treat them like every other day. You don't just let the day come by and just say, oh yeah, acknowledge it like it's somebody's birthday. Yeah, happy birthday. But really I'm going to carry on with my day. No, these are important to him. We want all the little things that's going on in our lives that's so important to us. We want those things to be important to Yah. But then when Yah's things come around that he said, look, this only is 7 days. The seventh day and 7 days out the year that I'm telling you, these are the set apart, holy, the holiest of holy days. And we treat them like regular days. Go ahead.
These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons.
All right, so if you go back to that word feast again, it's appointed times, moadim, not feasts. English, that's a bad translation. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. So all these days, including the Sabbath that he's talking about, are holy convocations, Kodesh Mikra. That means the whole day is set apart and is a gathering. You gather on all these days that he's about to mention. If you are not setting this day apart, treating it as a holy day, and not gathering, then you are not following the commandment. Go ahead.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover, Pesach.
All right. So again, in the 14th day of the first month, in between evens is Yahweh's Passover. So again, if you look at the Hebrew word for at, it would be bain. In between. The 14th day of the first month, between evenings. There was 2 evenings in a day. So what that meant was you had from what they called, they considered evening the 9th hour. The 9th hour would be about 3 p.m. That's when that's the time of prayer, evening prayer. Even though it's not the next day, it's still the previous day. But that's when evening starts. Then you have the real evening, which is when the sun goes down and you're starting to go into the next day. In between those times is when you have Pesach. That's when you physically kill the Passover lamb. So if you want to be technical and say that, okay, this is when you keep the Passover and Pesach, then at minimum you need to gather on that at that point from the evenings, in between those evenings, because these are Kodesh Mikras. A Kodesh means holy, and a Mikra is a gathering. It is a rehearsal. What are you rehearsing? You're rehearsing coming together, keeping yourself holy, and acknowledging those things that he's trying to tell you in these holy days. Every year, according to his schedule. Not according to your convenience, but according to his schedule. So whatever you got going on in your life stops. And it's all about him and his schedule and the things that he has for us to understand. And every year we get more understanding about these holy days. Especially this year with Elder Ben Melech coming in. He's helped open up a lot of understanding of the meaning of these holy days, like especially Pentecost. Go ahead.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
All right. Go ahead.
In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, and say unto them, When you be come into the land which I gave unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. And you shall offer that day when you wave the sheaf a he-lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour, mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
All right, so it's a statute forever. This never ends throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So we're going to stop right there. Those are the 3 holy days that are in the month of Abib. You have Pesach, that's the first one, in which you kill that Pesach on the 15th day. On the 14th day is the preparation, which is the day that just started today with the sun going down. Then the 15th day is when you eat the actual Pesach. And then you have the morrow after the Sabbath that comes, the weekly Sabbath that comes after your 7-day feast of unleavened bread. You have Feast of First Fruits. A lot of people didn't even know about First Fruits. First Fruits is the holy day representing
the offering, the first fruits of man, which was Yahshua. This is the first fruits of nations, which is the children of Yashra'al. So you have 7 is a number of completion. You have 7 holy days. You can't pull any of those out. That's like pulling a day out and saying you only got 6 days in a week. You got 7 days. So you have your Passover, Pesach, that's holy day number 1. You have your unleavened bread, holy day number 2. You have Feast of First Fruits, number 3. Those are the 3 that happen in the month of Abib. Then after that, which you read further down, you have Pentecost, which is Shabbat. That's number 4. Then after that, you have trumpets. That's number 5, Teruah. Then your 6th is atonement, Kafarim. And then your 7th is Sukkah, tabernacles. That's 7 holy days. 7 is the number of completion. All these are memorials that you have to memorialize. These are set apart days. These 7 days, Yah set those days apart. And with us being so close to the ending of this 6th day, it's very important that we acknowledge all these days, because all these days represent something. What the elders revealed unto us is that the only feast day that has not been fulfilled yet is trumpets. That's the one we're getting ready to come into. So we had the Pesach with Yahshua dying. We had our unleavened bread with him laying unleavened in the earth. We had our first fruits with him being waved before Yah as the first fruits of men, of those who slept. And then you have Pentecost, which is the Spirit being given out to everybody, the Word being given out to everybody, and the Holy Spirit. So the next one is trumpets. That's the one we're coming up on. So it's very important that we understand what these things signify and that we set these days apart, because these aren't suggestions. These aren't 7 suggestions. These are commandments to the children of Yashra'al. So we have received a tremendous amount of grace where most of our lives, many of us didn't even know anything about it. We just lived our lives. But eventually that grace period is going to come to an end. And we, according to the scriptures, feel like that grace period is rapidly approaching an end. So we don't know which one of these Passovers, which one of these unleavened breads, which one of these Pentecosts is going to be the last one where Yah is drawing a line in the sand and say, these are my people. These are the ones that I'm going to bring. All these that kept my feast, that knew to keep my feast and kept them. Now, I'm pretty sure, from my understanding, I can't make any promises. I don't speak for Yah, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have grace and mercy on people that didn't know. Some people that didn't know, and he's going to make sure that they have an opportunity to learn, just like we did when we didn't have an understanding of it. But when you understand to keep these days and you don't set these days apart, there's going to be a judgment for that. And eventually that judgment time is going to come. And we don't know if we're coming to an end of that grace period. All right, let's stop right there. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to Matthew. We're going to the book of Matthew. That's the first book in the New Testament. Matthew chapter 26. Now, Pesach, is very important because, we say that, unleavened bread is the Sabbathon. That's the day that you can't work. That's the day that you have the feast. That's the day that you make the appearance. That's the important day. Yes, it is. But it's the second holy day. The first holy day is Pesach. Now, when you understand what happened on Pesach, we're going to read what happened on Pesach. Something very significant to us happened on that day. And what we're also going to see, those that want to dispute calendars, we're going to look at 2 timelines going on during this Passover. You had Yahshua keeping his Passover, and he's the Word in flesh, so we know his Passover was correct. And you see the Jews, or the Yehudim, led by the Pharisees, keeping a different Passover. So what a lot of people didn't understand, what they call the last meal, and they have the picture with all those, Yahshua sitting down having the last meal. That's Passover. He was literally keeping Passover. So the question is, why is he keeping Passover different than the authority was keeping Passover? There's a reason he's keeping it different. And if you're going to gamble, all right, this is a question for the kids. If you're going to gamble on a day, if you say a man comes here and tells you today is Passover, and Yahshua is keeping a different day than the day that that man is keeping Passover, which one are you going to gamble on? You're going absolutely right. You're going to gamble on Yahshua Passover. Because he is the word. He is the word. He's going to walk. He was sinless. If he decided, well, I'm going to just do it on the day that I want to do it because, I ain't going to be here tomorrow. So, hey, I'm just going to do it early. That would be transgression. That would be making himself above the Father. He's not going to make himself above the Father because he is a servant of the Father. He is the Son, the heir. So we're going to do what the Father tells us to do if we are a good son or a good servant to the Most High. Go ahead.
What if you do it at the day that is at the day that it is, but at a different time?
Well, if you did it in ignorance, then praise Yah. That's part of the reason Yahshua died, so that we could have grace, because we all did it at the wrong time, or we all didn't do it at all. So we can't sit here and judge another individual because they kept it on a day that, from our understanding, seems to be the wrong day, because it's possible that we kept it the wrong day. They've done so many different things. But at the end of the day, the commandment is to love Yah with all what? All your
heart, all your strength, love Yah with all your heart, all your strength, all your mind, and all your understanding.
Exactly. So that means if the best of your understanding gave you a week off, guess what? That's a perfect sacrifice. That's the best you can do. Y'all gonna send somebody to you to show you the right way. A teacher to teach you the right way. Or when Yahshua come back, you just say, hey, bro, good job. You kept everything right. You just had it a week off. It's next week. And what you think that servant gonna do? Oh, man, praise Yah. Thank you, Yahshua. We now I know. So it's not for us to judge. Yes, baby.
The part that you said that God made a line fixing the world. Yeah. That part, was that true?
Yah made a what?
I'm talking about that picture up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
Yah,
picture
yes.
up there.
Yes, that is a prophetic picture, but we have to get the elder to come explain that to you, because that's deep right there.
It's like half brown
Mm-hmm.
and half blue.
Amen. So Matthew chapter 26.
Matthew chapter 26.
I'm still asking questions, baby. I don't understand it all. I just try to grab what I can grab. That's why you gotta have. We praise Yah. We have the artists that can explain these prophetic teachings that he saw, and this was actually painted off of another prophet who had a vision, or a brother who had a vision or a dream that explained that to the elder, and the elder drew it based upon what that brother saw. All right, so Matthew chapter 26, Mattathiah chapter 26.
And it came to pass, when Yahshua had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be impaled.
All right, so these are key points. There's a reason why he's saying these things. There's a reason why he's making this historic mark. After 2 days is the feast of Pesach. All right, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. So keep that in mind. We're going to follow this timeline. 2 days from this time, and this is the daytime that he's saying this. And how you're going to know it's the daytime? We keep reading. We're going to see it's the daytime when he said this. So when does the new calendar day start? Anybody? In the daytime or the nighttime?
In the daytime?
No.
Nighttime?
Yes. You know that, baby.
I thought it was in the daytime.
All right. Go ahead.
Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Yeshua by subtlety and kill him.
So this is his own people that are trying to conspire to kill him. Hamashiach, Christ. They want to kill him. They want to kill him simply because he's following the instructions of his father. Simply because all he did was do what the word says to do, what his father told him to do. So when you do that, what you think the world gonna do to you? The world's gonna try to kill you. With him, they wanted to kill him physically. With you, they're gonna want to kill you spiritually. They're gonna want to kill your spirit by making it grievous unto you to keep these commandments. This is not the Greeks that's saying, oh, we're gonna conspire against it. This is his own people. The same people who had children, who had children, who had children, who had children, who are on this earth right now. Who go to school with you, who go to work with you, who live next door with you. That may even be in your same family. Same people. So what we got to do is make sure that we are not those people. That we are not acting the way our forefathers acted. Because it was that behavior that has us in the condition that we're in now. That had them in the condition that they were in then. Because they were in Jerusalem and they were occupied by Rome. Go ahead.
But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people.
All right, so we know in 2 days is the feast day. And they're saying, let's kill him, but we can't kill him on the feast day. That means they got to hurry up. Go ahead.
Now when Yeshua was in Bethany, and in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor.
So this is what people will do when they want to try to feel overly righteous. They will use the word as an excuse for them to benefit something, but to look holy at the same time. So this is the thief trying to say, hey, I could have had more of this money in my pocket that I could have been stealing. But trying to appear holy. And he said, didn't he say that about the adversary of the devil? That don't be amazed because even the adversary of the devil himself transformed himself into an angel of light. Go ahead.
When Yeshua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman? For she has wrought a good work upon me. For you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always.
All right. So the poor is always with you. So in other words, listen, the poor people are around all the time. You have certain people that say, you know what, on Day of Atonement, I'm going to go out and feed the poor. Ain't nothing wrong with going to feed the poor. But man, this ain't about the poor. That's Yah's day. Yah said you sit down and you think about what you did. You reconcile. You come before me so I can wipe your sin debt clean. But now you want to be holier than now. You want to go on atonement instead of sitting your behind down and fasting, and you want to feed somebody else who's supposed to be fasting. Isn't he going to be hungry tomorrow? Ain't he going to be hungry the day before? Why on that day, the day he's supposed to be fasting, you going to try to feed him and make him not fast? That's that same line of thinking. When you and I don't think necessarily people that do that are doing it out of a wicked heart, but you could outsmart yourself trying to be overly righteous. When at the end of the day, he said, sit your behind down and think about what you did wrong. It's like your parents used to do you. Sit over there in that corner and think about what you did wrong. And that's the worst punishment. Because you want to do everything else but sit in that one place and think about how you messed up.
I think it's wicked because you causing somebody to sin.
You causing somebody to that may need to. There's a reason he's poor. There's a reason he's in that state. He ain't just 100% innocent, because y'all said, I have never, and what was it, Shlomo? He said, in my days, I've never seen the son of the righteous beg for bread. So ain't none of us righteous. So that means we know for a fact that somebody who's homeless is not perfect. There's still things that they need to bring before the Father. But if you have that much zeal, wait till the sun goes down and feed them. And feed them with spiritual food on atonement.
Why the took this real?
Baby, let's ask questions pertaining to these scriptures, okay? Anytime after class, then you can ask questions not pertaining to the scriptures. Okay? Stay focused. Stay focused, baby. Go ahead.
Verse 12. For in that she has poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this good news shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman has done be told for a memorial of her. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priests and said unto them, what will you give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver.
So that Judas Iscariot represents that spirit, that worldly spirit within us. What will you pay me for me to betray Hamashiach? Now we all look at him like, oh man, Judas Iscariot, I would never do that. That's horrible. Who would do such a thing? But guess what? When we turn our back on this law, on his holy days and his commandments and righteousness and his people, that's what we did. We did that for a price. The price don't have to be silver. Some people is fame. Some people is to escape embarrassment. Some people is for lust. Some people is for drugs. Whatever the case may be, that's the same spirit that we take on when we say, nah, what will you give me to not be united with the word, not to do according to the word? We all been with that Judas Iscariot, that I hate my brother. Go ahead.
And from that time he sought opportunity to betray him. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yeshua, saying unto him, where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he said, go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, the master says, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.
All right. So you had 2 days before the festival. Now you have the first day of the preparation day. So now you're coming to the 14th. And he's saying, okay, where are we going to prepare to take this Passover? Go ahead.
And the disciples did as Yeshua had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me.
All right, so this is what they call the last meal. So when even was come, now that second day came. Now he's going over into the real 15th. Now, it wasn't the Yehudim's 15th, because it was still 2 days before their Passover. But this is the real 15th on the calendar. So this would have been where he said in 2 days is Passover. That would have been the 13th during the daytime. Then the sun went down. Now Yeshua is having his Passover meal, which means that would have been the real Passover. So the real Passover, according to how Yeshua kept it, should be Tuesday night. Because 364, 52 weeks, 7-day weeks, and 12 months is always going to give you your holy days on the same day, because it's equal. It's even. So your Pesach, when you eat the Passover meal for unleavened bread, should be a Tuesday night. And we're going to validate that. And I'm going to prove to you it was a Tuesday night because you got something so simple like 3 days and 3 nights in the ground. Something so simple like he was seen the first day. That's simple math that you can do, that you can deduce when he ate. So are you eating the Passover the day that Yeshua ate? Or are you eating the Passover the days that the Jews, the Yehudim ate? Or the world, where everybody else do? Go ahead.
And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Master, is it I? And he answered and said, He that dips his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Yehudas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, You have said.
All right. So again, we look at Yehudas like he's so horrible, man. How dare this guy betray HaMashiach? But if somebody dies for you, literally gives their life for you so that you could do the right thing and receive eternal life, and you turn around and just do the wrong thing, then you betrayed HaMashiach. You betrayed him. Because he's saying, look, man, I died so that you could try to fix these things that you're doing. And then you just turn around and say, well, how much you going to pay me? Or what can I get to not do those things? And it says right there, it'd have been better that you had never been born. That applies for us. Now, hallelujah, that he brought us that grace for us to figure that out. For us to try to fix that. Because every last one of us, including me, has been in this position where we betrayed HaMashiach. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to act like it. We want to act like, oh, well, you could have sold that and put it in the money. We want to act like that. We want to put on our good garments and have them nice fringes. But we got to acknowledge that we do this. And he died for us so that we can have a little bit more urgency of trying to get things right. Go ahead.
And as they were eating, Yeshua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink you all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
All right, so this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. So look at that. Let's look at that Greek word testament. If you look at that Greek word for testament, it's a familiar word. It literally means covenant. Testament is G1242. The Greek word is diatheke. Diatheke. From G1303, properly a disposition that is specifically a contract, i.e. covenant, synonym covenant, especially a divisory will. Covenant. It's literally a covenant. This is a new covenant. This is the blood of the testimony of my new covenant. All covenants are sealed with blood. This is a spiritual covenant. This is why he's not physically making you drink some blood. That's unclean. He's representing that blood with the wine. And what day is he doing this on? The day that you actually take the Passover. That's the 15th. So if you're going to memorialize it, you got to memorialize it the day that he did it. Now, I can see people thinking it's on the 14th because that's when the Jews did it. But then how is he not, why is he keeping Passover different? He's not keeping it on the 14th. It's their 14th because they're using a lunar calendar. And how do you know that? You can go to Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, and you can see what they were using. They were using a lunar calendar. You can't use the lunar calendar to calculate the holy days. You need the sun, moon, and stars. There's not enough. Not enough information. Go ahead.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives.
Took a Nazarite vow. Go ahead.
Then said Yahshua unto them, all you shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad.
All of you are going to trip in this word because of me. Because when you see the suffering that I go through, you're not ready for that. You about to take off. Go ahead.
But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee.
So Yahshua is merciful. He said, look, if the disciples who walked with him, who saw miracles, all fled at the sign of the suffering that comes along with keeping these commandments, what you think we gonna do? We did the same thing. We fled. As soon as it got rough, we took off. But see, these brothers didn't stop being believers. They didn't stop being Israelites. They fell. They got back up. They continued. That's the same thing we have to do. Just because you mess up, just because you don't meet the mark, just because you get persecuted, or your life is about to change, it's on the line, and you fall short, that don't mean you quit. Yahshua knew you couldn't handle that. That's why he brought us to grace. And he said, look, when I go back to my Father, that's going to strengthen you. Because now I can give you the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
Peter, Kepha, answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of you, yet will I never be offended.
Right. That's what we all say. Oh, I would never. But this is Kepha. This is the rock. Even he tripped up on this. So don't feel bad when you trip up on it. You're going to trip up on it because you're not perfect. But what did he do when he tripped up? Did he go hang himself? That's what Yehudis did. He hung himself. It was over for him. Nah, you don't hang yourself. You get up and you try harder and you keep going. And you try to make up. You try to show y'all that, listen, that's not me. That was a weak moment like every one of these people that we just read about. Go ahead.
Yahshua said unto him, verily I say unto you, that this night before the cock crow you shall deny me thrice. Kepha said unto him, though I should die with you, yet will I not deny you. Likewise also said all the disciples.
All of them said that. All of them said that. I'll die with you right now. Give me the sword. I'll kill myself right now for you, Yahshua. Every last one of them. And in their hearts, they might have truly meant that in their hearts. But the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we have to remember that when we deal with each other. When people tell you, hey, bro, I got you, man. I got your back. I ain't going to let you down. And then what always happens, not always, but what happens a lot of times, you get let down. Now we cutting them off. I ain't dealing with this brother no more because he let me down. Man, they let Yahshua down. This man walked on water. Who are you? And furthermore, have you let somebody down? Have you let somebody down? I know I have. But does that characterize who I am? I'm the letdown? Nah, that's not me. So I would expect people to be like, man, Jadon, he messed up. But, that brother ain't like that. I know. He slipped. He human. So I better give people that grace. Now, somebody who constantly all you do is never show up. You never. Then okay. Now, hey, listen. That's who you're showing me. I don't have. What else can I go on? That's all you've done is not show up. I can't. Now I'd be a liar. I'd be a fool. Same thing in this word.
Verse 36. Then came Yahshua with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit you here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Kepha and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy.
All of this is happening on the 14th. Right now. This is the nighttime that began the 14th of their calendar. Now it was the 15th of the real calendar, but it was the Yehudim's 14th that all this stuff was going on. Go ahead.
Then said he unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here and watch with me. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.
All right. Now, you know, people look at this as weakness. Man, he's trying to say, listen, is there another way for this covenant to be done? Do I have to literally be tortured? Could I just die? Could I just be taken up? Why does it have to be this way? But either way, because you gave me this body now. I'm in this body, this human fleshly body, which I'm not used to. I'm used to being a spirit that doesn't have that feeling. But now that I'm in it, this doesn't feel good. Can I do it some other way? But either way, I'm giving my petition to you. But guess what? Your will be done. Go ahead.
And he came unto the disciples and found them asleep, and said unto Kepha, What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour?
1 hour. They couldn't stay up with this man for 1 hour. And this is you know how he feels when he's like, yo, this is important. I'm about to do something major. But people, they treat it like it's a regular day. They just, yeah, you know, I'm tired. It's late. It's past my bedtime. They going to sleep. The disciples did this. The Lamedim. These the 12 apostles. What you think regular Joe Hebrew gonna do? He gonna treat things the same way. He gonna fall asleep. But we get offended. We know better than these people. But all we can try to do is be not the dude who fell asleep. Try to be awake. Be attentive to these days, to these times, to what's going on. Be awake, be conscious. Like what was like Donald Glover, stay woke. Niggas creeping. Go ahead.
Watch and pray that you enter not into
Acts
temptation.
13 and verse 2. You got a problem with that. It's in the Bible. Acts 13 and verse 2. And verse 1. Verse 1 and verse 2.
The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, your will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then came he to his disciples and said unto them, Sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me.
Look, so at the end of the day, listen, man, Father came to you 3 times. Still? Okay. All right. When it's time to do that work, ain't no hesitation. Before it's time, hey, listen, if there's any other way, cool. But when it's time to go to work, when it's time to do what you're called to do, get up and go do what you got to do. Because that's what you are created for.
Question.
Go ahead, bro.
Does this have any relation to Saul's thorn in his flesh and it's been seeking to remove it 3 times? Or is this related at all? Or is
It is. You can pray to the Father. Definitely. That's deep, actually. In your weakness, strength is made perfect. You coming to me, but I'm strengthening you because by my strength, by my power, you going to be straight. You going to be able to do what you need to do. That's deep.
Verse 47. And while he yet spake, lo, Yehudas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he, hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Yeshua and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Yeshua said unto him, Friend, wherefore are you come? Then came they and laid hands on Yeshua and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Yeshua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of his high priest and smote off his ear. Then said Yeshua unto him, Put up again your sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Think you that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels?
So it's a little confusing because he's like, Yeshua just told him, look, he without a sword, trade your coat. If you got 2 coats, trade your coat and get you a sword. They try to take Yeshua, he pull out a sword, he telling them you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So they're like, what? They confused. But really what's going on here now, they saying, listen, protect yourself. Get you a sword. But don't protect me because that's what I've been telling you. This is what I came here for. I came here for this. Now is my time. Now is not the time to stand up here and try to stop this. It's expedient that one man die to save the nation. Even a Pharisee understood that. Gamaliel.
But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled that thus it must be? In that same hour said Yeshua to the multitudes, Are you come out as against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they that had laid hold on Yeshua led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Kepha followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yeshua to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet they found none. At the last came 2 false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Yahweh, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose, and said unto him, Answer you nothing? What is it which these witness against you? But Yeshua held his peace, and the high priest answered, and said unto him, I adjure you, by the living Elohim, that you tell us whether you be the Mashiach, the son of Yahweh.
All right, so what he's showing you, for one, it's the prophecy, like a dumb lamb in Isaiah 53 went to the slaughter and kept his mouth closed. Then also, this is for you. This is game for you. When you are in a situation that the people that are coming against you just want to kill you, there's nothing for you to say. They're going to try to use everything you say against you. Shut your mouth. When the police come grab you, shut your mouth. They trying to take you to jail. Know when to be quiet. Yeshua understood this concept. Look, you trying to trip me up in all my words, but our pride in our we think we so smart. No, you're twisting my words. Same thing with the press. You know what they gonna do. They gonna chop up everything you say and make it sound like you said F America. Really?
Yeshua said unto him, You have said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall you see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy. What think you? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands.
So they spitting in his face, they slapping him, they doing all these things. Where in the law does it say you do that? So you so zealous to keep the law to kill him, but what law say you spit spit in this person's face?
Right.
Now it said the if you don't raise up seed, that's the only law I know. You don't raise up seed and you take off the shoe and the woman spit in your face. That's the only law I know. But this ain't the case. Go ahead.
And they smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, you Mashiach. Who is he that smote you? Now Kepha sat without in the place, and a damsel came unto him, saying, You also were with Yeshua of Galilee.
So at least Kepha sat outside the palace and looked at what was going on. Everybody else was gone. They couldn't identify the other disciples because they was out. So at least he showed. People always want to talk about Kepha. Oh, Kepha, yeah, you denied him 3 times. You would say you was going to be so hardcore. At least he showed up. Go ahead.
But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Yeshua of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man.
What would you say? Yeah, they about to torture this dude and kill him. Didn't I see you with that brother? Man, hold up, man. You got the same shirt on. That's him right there, man. I don't know that dude, bro. What you talking about, man? Man, I gotta spread this word, man. I can't spread this word being tortured with this dude.
Right.
What if they would all said that? Yeah, we know him. But again, we think we know everything. We think we know that we can, what's right or what's wrong. But at the end of the day, man, it's never that simple. Sometimes you got to live to fight another day. That's why you watch what you say with your mouth. Oh, I've died. Because you just might have to be put to that test where you're going to have to die. That's why anytime somebody asks me, I say, look, I would hope that I would have the strength to do the right thing in those situations. Because I don't know. I got kids. I got assembly. I got a life. I got human emotion, fear, pain, a low tolerance for pain, all those type of things. I would hope that Yah would give me the spirit if I needed to be a martyr, to be a martyr. But I wouldn't want to be in that position just so I can sit here and act like I'm hard. Nah, I'm good.
Could you say that scripture that says there's sin in a multitude of words applies here in a sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Verse 73.
Verse 73, Matthew chapter 26 and verse 73. And after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Kepha, Surely you also are one of them, for your speech betrays you. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man, and immediately the cock crew.
So he was speaking probably with a Galilean, dialect. And they said, oh yeah, look how perfect he talk or whatever. Or he's one of them. So he starts cussing. I don't know this man. And there it is. There's the cock crow. So the cock crows in the morning. So again, it's giving you a timeline. Nighttime came. That began their 14th. But this was the real 15th, according to the holy calendar. He kept Passover that night, the 15th, the night you're supposed to keep it. They came and grabbed him in the middle of that night, which is the real 15th. But on the Jewish calendar, it's the 14th. That's why they were able to torture him and kill him and do all of those things. Cock crew is just the morning of the real 15th, but the Yehudim's 14th. Go ahead.
And Kepha remembered the word of Yeshua, which said unto him, Before the cock crow you shall deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly.
I mean, that's all you can do. Sometimes, man, when you mess up and you let Mashiach down. He could have just went out there and tried to act like he didn't do nothing wrong. Nah, he wept bitterly because he betrayed Hamashiach. And it says, he who denies me amongst men, I'm going to deny you against the Father. That's a bad place to be. Well, praise Yah, he merciful, because we've all been there. We've all denied this word in front of people. From children all the way to adults. And it's hard on children. Your family Israelites, everybody keeping Christmas, everybody doing this, everybody doing that. And you got to stand firm. If adults have problems with that, how you think our kids have it? So we got to understand it ain't easy for our kids, man, to go through these things. It's hard enough for them to try to fit in, period. Because they're already different. Because they are kids. So, we was different. We always felt like outsiders. We wasn't just, all cool with everybody. Even in this word, we ain't like that, where we just like everybody else. There's a reason we different. Go ahead.
Going on to 27.
Going to 27.
Matthew chapter 27 and verse 1. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Yahshua to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor.
Keep in mind, this is the guy who did miracles. This is the guy that when everybody was sick and got a lame arm, couldn't walk, a dude fell, died, whatever. Here go Yahshua. Feeding people. This the guy they want to kill. Answering every question. Debunking all the false doctrine. Everybody against this dude. Go ahead.
Then Yehudas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders.
All right, it's too late. That's what we got to understand. There comes a point where that grace period is over with. It's too late. You want to repent, but you can't. It's done. And we don't know what that date is or that time or that line or that sin. We don't know that. We don't know that last set of holy days that y'all's like, that's it. You done had all these times to get this together and you still refuse to honor my holy days. That's it. We don't know that. Then we like, no. I'm coming. I'm ready to keep the holy days. Nah, I don't want you. Go ahead.
Then Yehudas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? See you to that.
It don't got nothing to do with that's you. It ain't got nothing to do with us. You repenting to the wrong person. You supposed to go to Hamashiach and say, listen, man, look, I sold you out. Here's the 30 pieces of silver. I don't even want this. Cast it to the poor. Here, string me up with him. I belong up there, not him. That's if you was truly sorry. But nah, you afraid of the consequences because you knew he was real. And you realize you allowed the devil to use you.
And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself.
Hung himself.
And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, it is not lawful for to put them into the treasury because it is the price of blood.
This is the mind frame of these people. It's lawful to pay somebody to kill them, but it's not lawful to take that money and put it in the treasury. That's blood money. We spent the money, but it's blood money.
And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day.
They still use the money. We just can't, we can't keep it with the holy money.
Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Yashra'al did value, and gave them for the potter's field as Yahweh appointed me. And Yahshua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, are you the king of the Yahudim? And Yahshua said unto him, you said. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, hear you not how many things they witness against you? And he answered him to never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly.
So if you know that, you had the movies where, your brother went to jail, you trying to go to jail too to protect your brother. So, you get arrested for some bogus thing and they ask you these questions. If you want to go to jail, you're not running your mouth. You being quiet. That's what I'm here for. All the little martial art movies or whatever movies, that enough common sense, just be quiet. Because this needs to happen. If I open up my mouth, my flesh may take over. And I may say something out of fear that can free me from this. When you see the man already don't want to kill you.
Now at that feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner, whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Whom will you that I release unto you, Barabbas or Yeshua, which is called Mashiach? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, Have you nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him.
She said, have you nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. She having visions like, brother, better leave this dude alone. That's a just man. Even a woman wanted to free him. And this is symbolic. First of all, where you get that you release a murderer, you release a prisoner because it's a holy day? Where you get that from? That ain't no law. But what you have here is the embodiment of the scapegoat in atonement, where one goat is being killed, another one is being released. Go ahead.
But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Yeshua.
So let's let this murderer go and kill this guy I'm envious of, because he's able to do miracles and because he's telling people stop sinning. And if they stop sinning, they're going to stop tithing. That's why they really wanted to kill him.
The governor answered and said unto them, Whether of the two, will you that I release unto you? They said Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, What shall I do then with Yeshua, which is called Mashiach? They all say unto him, Let him be impaled. And the governor said, Why, what evil has he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be impaled. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See you to it.
So this is also very symbolic. These are Romans. These are some wicked people. They love killing people. They don't care. But for some reason, he's even saying like, I'll murder. Hey, I murdered today earlier, but I mean, it's not even noon yet. And you want me to just innocent guy? I don't murder innocent people till at least 2 p.m. Come on now, I haven't had my drink yet. Even them, they're saying, no. But how wicked we are, we ready to riot and tear the city down until we kill this innocent man. But we so quick to point fingers at white people. Oh, look at this. These white people wicked. These white, these Gentiles. But yet, we about to riot if they don't kill this just man. That even the wicked man's wicked wife saying he just. And I can't even say she's too wicked. She seemed like she has pretty good judgment there. Go ahead.
Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and on our children.
And that is also prophetic. His blood be on us, which it was. We are suffering as a nation because we killed the lamb. And we are also covered in his blood. His blood be on us. We are covered under the blood. And our children. The children are suffering to this day because of this. Because we killed the word. Now, we physically manifested it here in killing him physically. But we do it spiritually when we transgress the law constantly without a care. Now, we did it with a lot of help. But this is still the same thing. So it's like a double entendre here. It's flipped all over the place. The blood literally be on us because we covered under the blood in a good way. But the blood is also on us in a bad way. Blood is on our hands. Because he who killed, who killed you, yeah, he's bad. But he who gave me over them, is the person that really guilty.
Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Yeshua, he delivered him to be impaled.
This is all happening on the 14th. Today. The Yehudim's 14th. He was literally being beaten and scourged with those catnip things with the hooks that they hit you with, whip you, and it pulls out skin. They was torturing this dude on the 14th. He deserves to be memorialized on that day. For us to consider that. This great sacrifice that he made for us on Pesach. Go ahead.
Then the soldiers of the governor took Yeshua into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Yahudim. And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him and put his own raiment on him and led him away to impale him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his stake. And when they were come unto a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall, and when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they impaled him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation written, This is Yeshua, the King of the Yahudim. Then were there 2 thieves impaled with him, one on the right hand and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, You that destroyed the temple and built it in 3 days, save yourself. If you be the son of Elohim, come down from the tree.
So what you have here is you see people are still the same way this very day. They care more about a building than they do about this word. And that's one thing that I will make sure that in all the power and control that I have in this building that we're going into, that we are not going to put the building over this word. Because the Most High is blessing us in this season. We have a building now, 183rd and Moreland Avenue, and we now have more space for the assembly, that we are not going to put that over this word. We are not going to change the teaching to support, to do whatever it takes just to keep that building. Nah. Because they was pissed off with him because he's talking about destroying their pride, their idol, this huge, beautiful, magnificent temple. And that meant a whole lot to them because they broke. You think they living in houses like that? Nah. They being occupied by the Romans. But they get to go in this beautiful temple. And that's how we are today. Many of us, most of us broke as ever. But then we go in this beautiful, magnificent church and we feel like we royal because we in that. And that's why people flock into all these different buildings. Same then as it is now.
Matthew chapter 27 and verse 41. Likewise also the chief priests mocking him with the scribes and elders said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Yashra'al, let him now come down from the tree, and we will believe him. He trusted in Yahweh, let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the son of Yahweh.
So we only going to believe the word if you manifest it when we want it. Right now. We're not going to have no faith. We're not going to believe. I need to see it right now for me to believe. Then you have no faith. Go ahead.
The thieves also which were impaled with him cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour.
All right, so there was darkness. There was an eclipse from about noon, the 6th hour, all the way to the 9th hour, which would be about 3 p.m. Darkness. Keep in mind the 9th hour. Go ahead.
And about the 9th hour Yahshua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is to say, my El, why have you forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, This man calls for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, Let be, let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Yeshua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the spirit. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in two, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many.
All right, so keep in mind, when you see these graves were open, and many of the body of the saints which slept arose and came out of their graves. So this is dead men rising. But this is after his resurrection. Yeshua was the first to rise from the dead. He was the first fruits of them that slept and rose. And with him coming back, that gave life to us that was dead. And this is symbolic in some of these saints that were dead now arising and waking up because of Hamashiach. Go ahead.
And came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yeshua saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly this was the Son of Yahweh. And many women were there beholding afar off, which followed Yeshua from Galilee, ministering unto him.
So this is the 9th hour, about the 9th hour when this happened. So that means on the true 14th, or the true 15th, this is when all this stuff happened. So this will be tomorrow. But according to this calendar, on Pesach, on their Pesach, this is when this happened. The 9th hour. That is the beginning of the evening. If you look up the 9th hour in Acts chapter 3, the 9th hour is the hour of prayer. Acts chapter 3 and verse 1, right? Or verse 2?
I'm not sure.
It's Acts 3 and 1 or Acts 3 and 2. If you look up Acts 3 and 1, 2, you'll see Peter and Yohanan, I believe, came in the temple at the hour of prayer, in the 9th hour. Because King David said it himself. 3 times a day do I pray unto you. Evening, which would have been the 9th hour. Morning, which would be the 6th hour. And noon. Those times. Those are the 3 times that we pray, because those were the times of incense. It's Acts what? 3 and 1. Acts 3 and 1. So it's the Passover lamb is killed between evenings. This was their 14th. So Yeshua at 3 p.m. at the evening prayer, he's praying unto the Father at the time of incense in the evening prayer. And the time on the 14th, their 14th, when they would be killing the lambs and preparing the lambs for the Passover, he was dying. So he was a sign unto them that y'all killed the Passover lamb. We killed the Passover lamb. Our people. The Romans physically did it, but we had them do it. They did the dirty work. So he's a sign, even in his death and his being killed. Even though they're keeping the days wrong, because Yeshua kept the days correctly. He's fulfilling all these things, all these prophecies right there, but yet we still denying Hamashiach. We still got brothers say they believe in the word, but they denying Hamashiach. All these prophecies being fulfilled. And it's not just in the King James. They got records of this. They got physical records talking about this stuff, how it happened. Saying this happened, but I don't believe that this means this. But they're saying that it happened. Flavius Josephus, all this. The 14th day is Passover. The 15th day is unleavened bread. We memorialize this. We remember this. We acknowledge what this man went through for us. Just so we could maybe or maybe not repent. None of us are perfect. But at least we could do is acknowledge these things. At least his set apart days, pray and see if we could, get some help trying to be better. At least these 7 days, at least his Shabbat. Those should be a given. But we got too much more important things to do. We got weightier matters to do than keeping his holy days. Go ahead.
Among which was Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Joseph and the mother of Zebedee's children. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea, named Joseph, who also himself was Yeshua's disciple.
Okay, so when even was come, which means it's starting to turn into night, it's between evenings. Remember, the ninth hour, that's when the evening starts. And then you have the other evening, which is the evening that's getting ready to turn into the next day. That's when the sundown comes. So the even was come, sun is going down, and it's the 14th getting ready to turn into the 15th, which would be their Wednesday, which would be their 15th day, the day that they keep in the feast. Yahshua Ben had the Passover feast, Ben had unleavened bread, but now they getting ready to have day 1 of unleavened bread and start the 7-day feast. So they got to rush. They got to do it because it's going to be a Sabbathon. Now we know we wasn't talking about it was going to be a Saturday. Couldn't be talking about being a Saturday, because then how are you going to have 3 days and three nights in the grave and be seen on the first day? So you can do the math right there. Wednesday night, because he had to be buried before Wednesday, what we call a Wednesday. Before Wednesday night, he had to be buried because Wednesday night would begin the 15th day. That's night 1. Thursday during the day, that's daytime 1. That's 1 full day and night. Thursday night and Friday daytime. That's 2 full days. Friday night and Saturday all daytime. That's 3 full nights and days in the grave. Sunday morning, he's seen. Yeshua spent 3 full days and 3 full nights in the grave. And he was seen early in the morning on first day. Go ahead.
He went to Pilate and begged the body of Yeshua. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed, the day of the preparation.
So what follows the day of the preparation?
Feast of Unleavened. Feast of Unleavened.
A Feast of Unleavened Bread. The preparation is Passover. The 14th is a preparation day. That's why today we're preparing for the feast. But it's still a holy day. It's not the same preparation as the 6th day of the week. That's a regular work day. This is Leviticus 23. These are my Moadim. These are my set apart days. You can't treat it like a normal 6th day. It has to be acknowledged. At minimum, from the time that you're supposed to do the acts that you do for Passover of killing the lamb on the 14th, you need to be observing that. Because it is a holy day. At minimum, And I know some people, sis was telling me, some people, they get together, in the afternoon, and then they convene and convocate all the way over into the 15th. That would be keeping it. But at minimum, do that. Don't just treat it like it's a normal day just because, it ain't the glorious day where you get to eat and party and do all that. And you're off from work. Go ahead.
Now the next day that followed, the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that that deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that the sepulchre be sure until the third day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead, so the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, You have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as you can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch.
All right. And if you go into verse 28, it says, in the end of the Sabbath, right? So when the sun went down and it became now first day, all right? So the sun went down on the, which would be their 18th of Abib, right? As this started to dawn towards morning, which means this is just the morning time, Sunday morning, for lack of a better word. There it is, Mary Magdalene. This is when she sees him. This is how you get the 3 days and 3 nights in the grave. You can't have a Good Friday and he rose on Sunday. Nah, it don't add up. 3 days and 3 nights is doctrine. So again, if you look at these days, and we have this online on IsraelitesGathering.com under the print section. You can see it with all the scriptures lined out so you can calculate it yourself. Why do your holy days not match Yahshua's holy days? You can't get that if you start your year on a Sunday, on the first day of the month, saying of the week. But if you start your year on a Tuesday night, then you will match. If your Pesach is a Tuesday night, then you will match what Yahshua did according to this. Now you're not going to match theirs, but you'll match what Yahshua did. Now you can argue with my understanding, but you can't argue with what's written. It's right in here. So again, let us all examine these things. Let us consider. This is a feast day. It's not supposed to be a day for us to be sad, but let's be cognizant of the sacrifice that he made. And the least we can do is sacrifice our free will to do a bunch of wickedness and say, you know what, I'm not. That's not me no more. I get it now. I get it. So I'm gonna do the best I can. But I can see clearly all these great people that I'm reading about all fell. So I shouldn't be beating myself up. But I should know that, okay, these were great men, not because they fell and got back up and did these great works that I'm able to read about. So let us be that same example. Say, okay, I fell, but I got back up. I'm not constantly reading about Kepha constantly denying Hamashiach. I saw that one time. Or those 3 times, actually. So let us be the same. So let's enjoy this. Again, we need to take this. This is the last day for us to get the leaven out of our house, for us to get the leaven out of ourselves, to prepare our hearts. It says, Yah will accept the offering of those that prepare their heart. For those males, we are supposed to have sanctified ourselves. So that means we should have started from Sunday night. From Sunday night, that should have been our day 1. Monday night, this is our day 2. Tuesday night, tomorrow, will be sanctifying us going into the 3rd day. That means we're ready against the 3rd day. So that means tomorrow night we'll be making our appearance before Yah. 3 times a year all males appear. We'll also be taking our Pesach. And for tradition's sake, we also, we do the foot washing and do all that stuff. It was very humbling. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? All right. Let's go ahead and end in prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. And all sisters pray with their heads covered.
We face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple in Hamashiach shall return. Brother West, can you close us out in prayer, please?
Abba Father, Yah, covenant Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We thank you, Father Yah, for allowing us to memorialize this holy day, Father Yah. And we ask, Father Yah, that if any information that went out through the class today, Father Yah, was inaccurate or off, that you'll forgive us, Father Yah, and know that we're trying our best, Father Yah, and we're doing to the best of our ability, Father Yah. And we ask you, Father Yah, if we are wrong or incorrect, that you'll send us a servant, Father Yah, to correct us, Father Yah. But know, Father Yah, that we are trying to the best of our ability, and we're trying to prepare our hearts as best we can, Father Yah. And we're all at different levels, Father Yah. But know that we are seeking you, Father Yah. And I pray, Father Yah, that you'll stretch out your hand, Father Yah, to continue to guide us, Father Yah, as we seek to return to you, Father Yah. In Yashra'al HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray. Thank you, and amen.
Amen.